What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to the show. I am excited to have with us today, Sally Beaton. So we just had, oh my gosh, an amazing conversation pre-show. Holy mackerel, cannot wait to dive into more with her. We are instant BFFs. Let me tell you a little bit about Sally. Sally is a women's holistic nutritionist, life coach, author, and founder of Women with Sparkle. Sally coaches women all over the world to help them reclaim their sparkle and achieve more than they ever thought was possible for their health and happiness. Sally has a special interest in helping women understand their hormones, and her book, Get Your Sparkle Back, has been called life-changing and a must-read for all women. Sally also runs Sparkle School, where women can learn in a monthly masterclass ways to reclaim their health, power, and joy. Welcome to the show, Sally.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your amazing podcast and for us just to be chatting.
I know, this is amazing. This is so long overdue. God bless you. You have waited so long because the podcast just blew up last year and we literally have a year's wait list to get on the show. So thank you for being so patient with me. I have read your book this past summer. I was telling Sally I reread it the past few days because I just adore it and it's filled with such great information. I actually learned so much, so many aha moments that I went, wait, what? I didn't even know about that, about my own body, which I think is so cool. So tell me, in your book, you write about, I now see my body and mind as a source of strength, stability, and sparkle instead of being crazy, chaotic, and unpredictable. And I want the same for you. Where did that journey begin for you?
So the journey began with me thinking my body was crazy and chaotic and growing up thinking that, well, that's the story that women get told, isn't it? Our bodies, our hormones, our emotions, everything we can't be trusted. We can't be trusted with food. Our body can't be trusted to lose weight properly. It will always want to put on weight. We can't be trusted with our emotions because normally they're over the top and we'll go crazy about a guy or, and so that's the story I had growing up. And I just believed it. I believed it all. I believed actually, it's really hard being a woman and we get the rough deal, compared to men. And I just kind of wanted to take myself out of all that chaos of being a woman. And I thought, no, I'm going to represent a kind of strong, I don't get overly emotional, all that sort of stuff. I'm just going to medicate over my period, which was really heavy and really painful. And I'm just going to turn up at work and be like a man. And interestingly, your body doesn't really let you reject itself. So all of the problems I got were linked with my reproductive cycle, my femininity, basically. And I ended up, after kind of 10 years of different symptoms and problems, having a breast tumor. And I had to have 2 operations to have that removed. And I had doctors saying, look, we kind of don't know what's wrong with you. Just fingers crossed nothing grows back, that you don't have to have any more treatment or operations. And I thought, wait a minute. And then suddenly I was in chaos because I thought I had tried to manage my body. I tried to overrule these hormones and these emotions and medicate them all out of me. And I was really low and I was really broken and I had no sparkle. And from that place, I had to learn about my body. I had to understand how actually amazing it was to be a woman. And I had to find out that every symptom was just my body giving me a signal. Hey, you can't be living like this. You can't be living with this level of stress. You can't be living with all these toxic products around you. You can't be living with a diet that doesn't nourish you and then expect your body to thrive. And so once I learned that, and I learned about the amazing cycles and seasons we have as a woman, and I embraced it, I suddenly found what I'd call kind of true health, and that stability and that power from within, rather than before a kind of precarious one where I was just hoping my female body didn't let me down.
Right. And isn't that the truth, that that's how we're brought up? Like, oh, if there's a pill for this, there's that for that. You shouldn't deal with that. Ignore that. Move on, versus, and I think that you and I are in the same place now where we literally just go with the flow with our bodies and we feel like, okay, why is this coming up? And we can allow it to flow through us. We don't have to hold on to it either, which is so amazing. So will you talk about what is the meaning of getting your sparkle back?
So the meaning is that for me, every woman, every person, but I've worked with women, but it's like every woman is born with a spark, and that spark is your kind of divine blueprint. It's the essence of life, of joy, of hope, of all the good things. And your sparkle is the kind of outpouring of that. And when you see like most little girls sparkle, right? They're having fun, they play dress up, they can even be bossy, all these things we've told we can't be. And so that sparkle to me gets dimmed. We get told, no, don't have an opinion on that. Don't overdress there, or don't have too much hope about that. Definitely don't do that career because that's not possible. And that sparkle in women, that life force, that optimism, that belief that we can do the thing that deep down inside we would love to do, gets taken away. And I always say, like, it never disappears, but I say it's like an earthquake and it's under the rubble. And so the women I work with, like women when we get into our kind of adult years, normally that sparkle through either a painful breakup or disease or divorce or a death or whatever that thing, when our sparkle feels like it's gone for good, we feel like that's it. There's no beauty left in me. There's no fun left in me. There's no lightheartedness left in me. And there is. So the idea of getting your sparkle back is undoing all those stories that have made you believe that you're not powerful, you're not beautiful, your body isn't capable of health, and that you're not a powerful being capable of, reigniting that spark in not only yourself, but the world as well.
I love it. It's so beautiful. And it's so true. And I love how you talk about the sparkly shift. And I love how everything goes around sparkle, because you and I are like sparkle pink queens. Like we love it, don't we? We love it. Like we can't have enough. Like if I could just have a glitter machine that just blew during this podcast, it would be amazing. So with that sparkle shift, share a little bit how you talk about the differences and the similarities. And I love how you bring in the emotional and the spiritual aspects of peri-menopause and menopause, because I think this is really big, especially for our audience. And, for women, I learned so much from your book. I went, what? Like, wait a minute. I didn't know that. And it really helped me to shift quite a few things. So I know that this is going to help our audience so much.
Oh, I'm so glad it helped you. Yeah, it's like I said, along with other things, we've been given kind of really bad stories about being a woman and our bodies and the different transitions we go through. And we go through different hormonal transitions. We have our menop when we have our first period and our menstrual cycle. And if you choose to have a child, and then the kind of positivity around those things and, being fertile start to shift. And then it's like, oh, and then you go through the peri-menopause and the menopause and they're awful and you dry up and it's just there. And actually that's not true. Again, when I looked into what happens kind of hormonally and just in other cultures, this shift in a woman's life is actually incredible. So the sparkly shift, which is what I call the peri-menopause, is actually a reflection of your teenage years. In the same way in your teenage years, you're having a big hormonal shift, a big hormonal upgrade. That happens again in the peri-menopause. And it's a very similar. So people think the peri-menopause is a woman kind of falling apart, right? And right. She gets mad and she gets angry and all these things. But it can feel like that if you don't understand it. But if you understand, like when a teenager goes through their teenage years, what they're doing is they're breaking away from essentially being a child, and they're breaking into a time where they are asked to stand on their own 2 feet, to be who they truly are, to find their voice. That happens again in the peri-menopause, and these hormones help you do that. So in the same way, sometimes we have teenagers that become more activists, or maybe they become more moody and angry, but all of that is just about, hey, I am finding my voice in this world because I've been brought up as a child and I now want this independence and this freedom. That happens again because the perimenopause comes after years where nurturing hormones have run our body, right? So we care about nurturing the elderly and a child if we've had one, or a pet or a business. We nurture. That's what those hormones have naturally made us do. And the perimenopause is there as a nod to say, time to start moving out of those nurturing years, look back at yourself, and actually the menopause is your freedom years. We call them your freedom years full of sparkle, where you get to go for those hopes, those dreams, those travels, all the things you want to. Now you're free of that menstrual cycle. And your perimenopause builds up your voice in that time. And it says, who am I? Who truly am I? And who have these years of nurturing, how have I lost myself? Where have I lost myself? And if we don't do that, that's when the rage comes. That's when the symptoms come. Because lots of women going through the perimenopause will be exhausted. They're physically exhausted. And some of that is because they're just meant to be doing less. They're not actually meant to be caring for the amount of people they are. They're actually meant to, give their partner or a friend or the community or the children or the parents some of the things back that they've been given that they've just always done. And if they don't do that, that's when the rage comes. That's when the feeling of I'm having a breakdown coming. Whereas it's a breakthrough. I always say it's a breakthrough, not a breakdown. You are being asked to take back your power, take back your voice. And these hormones are helping you do that, even though they can kind of feel wild. And it's the same, like I said, if you can kind of like see it as your teenage years, they can be years of kind of fun and rebellion, right? I always say it's so funny because I got braces when I started going through the perimenopause. And that's what I did as a teenager. And I didn't even realize. And my friend had her nose pierced and my other friend dyed her hair pink. And I was like, this is cool. This is like what teenagers do. So the perimenopause is working. It is saying, be a little rebellious, get your fun back. Like, stop listening to those adult voices saying you shouldn't be doing this.
I adore this and love this. And I think it's so important. And I really want to circle back to that point that, there are so many women that are going through perimenopause into menopause, and they are still trying to take care of the elderly parent or the situation or the child or the this or that. And no wonder they're not in their alignment. They're not in their flow. And no one knows it because no one has ever been told this information. I was never told this information until I read Sally's book. That chapter, it was like twice highlighted. I was like, I called my mother. I go, no wonder you were so upset for so long. I'm like, you poor thing. Like, I'm so sorry.
No, because it's very convenient if women don't know this, right? Because if women coming into their 40s go, guys, I'm going to do less. I'm going to do less of this caretaking. I'm going to do less around the house. That is very inconvenient to all the people who benefit from the women doing more. So of course it's this secret. Of course it's like, no, you crazy woman, go, let's get you on some more pills. We can't have you take down this whole structure and say, because the statistics show that women generally out of siblings will care for the parents more than the male sibling, that they do take on more of the emotional labor in the house. So this is a structure that's nicely set up to, like I said, cushion some other people. And so if women carry on doing that, it will cost them physically and mentally. And we have to start saying no. If your body is saying, I can't do this, I'm exhausted, or I'm getting a physical symptom, there's a wisdom in that. It's not your body letting you down. It's your body saying, we've got to do something different. Like, something new has to happen.
Right. And you talk a lot about finding your alignment through the 4 phases of the moon cycle. You say that it mirrors the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, and if you're no longer having a menstrual cycle. And this I found rather fascinating in myself, because it's like I knew that, but I wasn't practicing that.
Yeah.
And the same thing. And when you don't, your body, you're fighting, you're trying to swim upriver instead of trying to just go with the flow. And I was wondering if you'll share a little bit about how you've written about those 4 phases and the seasons, because it just made so much sense. I mean, just such great aha moments.
Thank you. Yeah. So the moon is an amazing tool for us, right? I for years rejected, I kind of transitioned from logical to a little bit holistic to a dabble of woo-woo, but not too much, because I wanted to keep my holistic kind of, And so for me, the moon was woo-woo, right? You like, okay, no, we don't do the moon stuff. And then I started reading that the moon perfectly reflects a woman's menstrual cycle, that the transition of the moon each month takes 29.5 days, which is the average length of a menstrual cycle. And that a man's hormonal cycle is like the sun, and it takes 24 hours. It goes up and it comes down. And when we're not taught the difference in these hormonal cycles, no wonder we're struggling in our relationships and with the world. And so the world is set up for the male hormonal cycle. Women are meant to do the same thing day in, day out. And they believe they're meant to have the same energy, the same appetite, the same libido, the same productivity, because generally that's what men have every single day and over the 24 hours. So business is set up to help men thrive. That's why you have like miracle mornings and business meetings in the morning and, all this stuff. It's for the male body and the male hormonal cycle. A woman's hormonal cycle, like I said, it's like the moon. It has shifts and it has different amounts of energy, and it perfectly reflects the 4 seasons of the earth, which makes sense because we call the earth Mother Earth, right? So Mother Earth has these 4 seasons, and we have these 4 seasons each month with our hormonal shifts. So over the 4 weeks, or roughly however long your cycle is, the first phase we have is called the follicular phase. And that starts just after your period. And that perfectly reflects spring. So your body is literally making new follicles inside of you. What that does to your brain chemistry is that makes your brain chemistry want to do new things. Like spring, we get this uplift of energy. We start saying, oh, look at the new green shoots and, let's try something new because winter's over. So that happens in a woman's body. Her energy starts to rise and her brain says, I want to do something new. I want to brainstorm. I always say, this is the phase that if you have a partner or a regular routine, you'll just think it's just awful. You'll be like, why are we sat on the sofa watching Netflix again? Or why am I doing the same dog walking route? I'm so bored. I'm so bored of my life. Your hormones it's asking you, let's do something new. This is our phase. This is our spring. And everything in your body supports that. Your, like I said, your energy rises. You'll start to feel your libido come back. All those kind of spring-like growths will come. After spring, we go into summer, which is your ovulatory phase, which is when your energy is kind of at its highest. All those hormones are peaking. You want to socialize. You want to see people. It's the day you look in the mirror and you're like, my skin is great. My hair is great. Because physically, your hormones have made you look different. Physically, that's the phase where your body is trying to attract a mate. There's literally a magnetism about you. Your breasts are plumper, your lips are plumper, your eyes are sparklier. And we kind of, again, have had that thing of why some days I feel better and some days I feel like I look worse. All to do with your hormones. After summer, so summer, like I said, you go out and you see people, your libido's high, your appetite, interestingly, will be lower because your estrogen's higher and that will lower your appetite. So naturally, you'll want to eat less. Then we go into autumn. In this shift, we have this slow decline. We're going towards winter, which is your period. And the same way that autumn is that transitional month, sometimes you have some days that feel like summer, and sometimes you have some days you'll feel like winter. That's your hormonal autumn as well. Some days you'll feel like, oh, I've got enough energy to do some exercise and get on with stuff, and other days you'll feel, actually, I can feel winter drawing in and my mood is lower and my energy is lower. This is the phase that if your hormones aren't balanced, you will get PMT, you will feel like your body is letting you down. You will blame your hormones and say, oh, I'm just so emotional. But I always say, whether you call it PMT or PMS, that's your body's signal saying, pick me today or pick me straight away. Because what it means is that the rest of the month you haven't cared for yourself. You've been giving out. And if you have a very low mood, if you feel quite anxious in that phase, that's your body saying, hey, let's put it right. If you're feeling teary, if you're feeling tired, do something wonderful for you after you've been doing something wonderful for everyone else. It also is like a nesting phase in that you become really like productive. Your to-do list will be ticked off much more easily in your luteal phase, because that's what your brain chemistry is saying. Let's get things done before we go into winter. So it's a lovely transitional season. And then we have winter, which would be your menstrual phase when you have your period. That is when you really, like a winter season, you want to hunker down. You want to get as much rest as possible. You naturally won't want to see people. So I always say, be really careful in your ovulatory phase, your summer, when you want to see the world. And I still do it, even knowing all of this, I still do it. And you text 10 people and say, oh my goodness, I miss you so much. Let's meet up for coffee in the next couple of weeks. And the next couple of weeks come, and then it's your period. And then you think, I've got no energy. I don't want to see anyone. So you have to be really careful, because like I said, there's nothing wrong with you. We think there's something wrong when we have a lower energy and lower mood, because we've been taught the value in summer, in our ovulatory phase. Like, women are meant to be perky and happy and energetic, but that's only one of our seasons. And in the same way, Mother Earth has these 4 beautiful seasons. We have those 4 beautiful seasons each month as a woman, and each one is valuable, and each one keeps your body in balance, and each one is regenerative and means that the next month you can have more health if you look after yourself in those seasons.
And now, how does that change when you're getting into peri-menopause and menopause? Because then, your cycle is funky, or who knows what's going on.
So this is the interesting thing. So again, after years of normally women kind of outsourcing their power, listening to other people, and the peri-menopause is where you start trusting yourself. So I have it, right? So I've had all these years of a very consistent cycle, knowing, and being able to track, oh, wow, I'm in this phase. I'm in my ovulatory phase, so I've got more energy so I can do exercise, or my period's coming then, so I can scale back a little bit. Whereas now, that's all changing. But the incredible thing is, your body will tell you. So if your appetite suddenly increases, you'll go, oh, that's interesting. That means my body possibly, because I know these signs, I'm feeling like I want to withdraw from people a little bit, and I want to eat more carbs. That's my body telling me that my period's on its way, and I need to do that, and I need to honor it, as opposed to these fixed phases that you would kind of go, this is definitely happening. You use the wisdom of your body and you say, what's my mood? What's my energy? What's my libido? What's my appetite? What are those things saying to me? Because those phases might be longer or they might be shorter, but you trust the cues that your body is giving you.
That's brilliant. I love all about coming into alignment, again, body, mind, and spirit with this. And it just gives such an incredible mind shift in looking at being a woman and the beauty and the magic within our bodies. And such empowerment here. So when then you get into menopause, how does that, just a full circle, bring that all the way back? Then how does the seasons within the month, because we still have the moon and the sun and all of that going on, how does that change? Are you ready to lose inches, increase strength, and tone your body from head to toe? Are you ready for a total body, mind, and spirit transformation? I am excited to announce that I am launching my exclusive 8-week Pilates Return to Life training program. This will give you an opportunity to have a total body, mind, and spirit transformation of health and wellness to a new lifestyle. Imagine in 7 days you will feel a difference, in 14 days you will see a difference, and in 8 weeks you will have your new Pilates body. So what do you say? Want to join me on the mat? Head over to jenniferpilates.com today. Space is limited. Use this special promo code EW and the word special, EW special, to receive $200 off while space is available. Head on over to jenniferpilates.com and I'll see you on the mat.
So generally, as women, we always have a cyclical nature. You will find we'll always have this ebb and flow of energy of wanting to see people and wanting to withdraw. And again, so menopause, that's when we're asked to follow the season of the moon, to follow that light of the moon. And so when the moon is a bright ball of light in the sky, that will naturally energize you. Like if you sleep with your curtains open, that moon, the light of the moon affects your sleep, it affects your menstrual cycle, and it affects you when you've gone through the menopause. So if you want to, some women actually don't want to keep that cyclical rhythm because they don't have it as much hormonally. They do to still some extent. The idea that you don't cycle is not true. Actually, your adrenal glands take over the production of those sex hormones. So not to the same levels, but we've still got this beautiful cyclical nature, but we won't feel the ups and downs as much. But that's where, for me, you just bed into nature more. You follow that moon. Before you go to bed, you look at what the moon's doing in the sky and thinking, wow, I've got all this light. What big bright thing shall I do tomorrow? And the same when the moon, when you can't see any light, think, oh, that's interesting. Have I spent a month giving out to other people and now it's time for me to withdraw? I'm like, if the moon gets to not even shine its light when that's its job, then women need to remember, if the moon needs time away going, guys, then women need to have time away as well.
And that's wonderful to come back to that moonology.
Yes.
And to bring that in and to really go back to how it was eons and eons ago.
Actually, we would have been sat outside our tent or our hut or whatever we'd made, and we'd look up at that moon and that would mean something to us. And it should mean something to us because it does affect the waters of the earth, and we are made up of water. So of course it's going to affect us. So getting back to that brings a beautiful rhythm and renewed health when we've become normally so disconnected from ourselves and nature.
Right. And it gives you such permission to just be. To just be you, to go, oh, I can just look at the moon and go, because some people go, oh, the full moon, you get crazy. I have my best sleep on full moons. I love full moons. Yes, it's a new moon where I'm like going in my head with new ideas and all this. Full moons, oh, I could sleep for days. I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it so fascinating. So what one piece of advice would you give to women who are in their late 40s, early 50s, in their sparkly shift? What would you say to them?
Okay, so you need to make a few changes. And you don't want to because it's hard, right? It's hard because you feel like you're letting people down. I understand that. But your body is going from your ovaries making a lot of your sex hormones, and the shift is coming in that your adrenal glands are taking over. And so if you want to still have a good amount of hormones, stress reduction is key. And I know it can sound so silly, actually, when women are busy and they're stressed, and we just accept that. But you need to find the smallest of ways if you want to not have those horrible symptoms that we're told about. If you want it to feel like a sparkly shift instead of a hormonal car crash, you have to allow your adrenal glands will always prioritize stress hormones. So if someone says, yes, but I've got teenagers and I've got sick parents, what do you expect me to do? Then I'll say, change your spin class for a walk and don't watch the news, or swap your glass of wine for a glass of kombucha. These are things that just reduce the stress in our bodies. Getting back into nature, that's the thing. Being in nature reduces our stress levels so much. So I understand, like, if you have a stressful job and it would be very glib of me to say, you just change your job. I mean, if you can, then yes, that's what you do. But I understand situations, sometimes that's not possible. So you look for these tiny stress reduction changes that make a huge difference. You have to nourish yourself more during the sparkly shift. So women, we've gone for years of like normally trying every diet and thinking like less food is better and things like that. Actually, your body needs nourishment during the peri-menopause. You have to kind of be eating better things, because otherwise your body will throw that hissy fit and you'll think, oh my goodness, what's happening? But it's just asking for nourishment. It needs more rest. It needs more nourishment. And if you can even give it the smallest amount of those two things, you will help your body phenomenally through this period.
That's all excellent advice. Now, I know, and I can just feel someone's going to go, oh, but wait, what about bioidentical hormones? Let's just keep going. What do you say about that?
I mean, I kind of say the same as the contraceptive pill, right? It's a very interesting thing to me. Like, women's medicine is fascinating for me when we look at the stories behind it. So when women go on the contraceptive pill, we put women in a version of the menopause. That's what happens. And women go through all those years in a version of the menopause. And then when they get towards the menopause, we're like, no, take a pill to keep having, like, we've got to keep your young hormones going. And I'm like, that's so bizarre to me that we're just medicating these phases. However, in both the situations, I always say, those things are there as an option, right? So we want women to have options. We want you to explore all of your options. But within that, we don't just want an option to be taken when no spiritual, physical, emotional shift is made. So we don't want you taking those things that, like I said, paper over the cracks. Because if the thing really making you angry and depressed is your relationship, then the stress of that will show up in a different symptom, even if you feel like your hormones are better. And the same with your diet. There's no point having a super inflammatory diet, going on and thinking, oh, but it's fine, it's bioidentical hormones, so it doesn't matter. The symptom will show up somewhere else. So like I said, we want to look to the root cause and have all the different tools and options and say, okay, so maybe let's try some diet and lifestyle. And maybe, if I don't feel like that's doing enough, maybe I do want to take the bioidentical hormones. Or actually, if I definitely don't want to take them, what are all the other things I can do? The incredible thing is they did a study on women who were getting really, really bad hot flashes. And they gave half of the group estrogen patches and half the group they taught to meditate. And the results were roughly the same. So the estrogen patches were slightly higher, but only by a few percent. Both were still in the 90s. I think the estrogen patches were 95% and women meditating were 90%. And that's without knowing any of the other things that were disrupted. So I'm like, of course you can take the patch, but if meditation is doing that to your body, and we know that from places like Japan, right? They call the menopause the second spring in Japan. That's how revered, that's how honored, that's how beautiful this time is. They want women to relax more. They want them to meditate. And the other part of that is the reason things like meditation and that work is because we are meant to be, when we step into those years where we become the mother or the matriarch, or like, we're meant to be leaders, right? So I always say it's very interesting in certain tribes and cultures, women, as they get older, their power increases. They're seen as great leaders, as great, the word elder, they use the word elder for them instead of elderly. So we don't want to be to the extent where I just think we don't want to stay so young that we miss these tribes of elders, because for me, that's what the world is missing, right? If Mother Earth is crying out, that means there's something missing with the mothers, with the women. So we want women to get whatever help they need. We don't want them to be in pain. We don't want them to be struggling. But neither do we want to perpetuate the message, stay young, stay young, stay young. That's how you're valuable. We want to show women their value and that their hormones are changing on purpose. Their brain chemistry changes on purpose. Your brain chemistry in the menopause shifts from a more logical side to a more creative side. So we're going to miss out on all these creatives if we keep all of these brains the same way they were when they were in their early 40s, or, So yeah, like I said, give women tools, give women options, but let's see the value in what your body is doing, because it's not just about periods stopping. It is about a spiritual aspect, about becoming an elder, about becoming wise, about using your wisdom to nourish yourself, your creativity, and the world.
That's amazing. I love that you're sharing all that, because it truly is. It's an empowering time. You know, like you say, in other tribes, they call people elder. They call them sage. You know, there's all of these honorings to come. And they weren't 3,000 years old. They were, you know, remember, old used to be 50. Now 50 is like 20, I think. I don't even know what it feels like, you know, like everything is shifting, and that's so important. And it's, I think this goes back to what you're saying about Mother Earth. And there has been this great upset between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And the divine feminine, when you listen to what you're saying, it is so highlighted how it has been kept down. Or a thumb over top of it. And to allow the divine feminine to come up and really flourish, and to embrace that, and to honor and to educate, so that people can go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, go check your blood, see where your hormones are at, look at your options. If you don't have all the symptoms, there's, you know, just do you. Absolutely do you. I always find that fascinating. For years, I was so particular about my hormones and where are they and what's going on, and trying to control everything. And you know, of course, this last few years, like, who was controlling anything? And so I finally said, you know, I should probably, you know, I'm just going to go do a check-in, you know, because all my friends are like, oh, they're going through all these different symptoms. And I'm like, oh, have you done this? Have you done that? And they're like, oh, yeah, that works. Thank you. You know, all these natural, like you're saying, getting into nature, exercise, whatever you can do on a holistic aspect, I feel is so important. And so I went in and I checked my hormones, and I came back and I laughed, and I thought, they're going to be fine. Like, you need more movement, more meditation. Like, you need to do what you tell other people to do. And so it came back, and lo and behold, it was what I anticipated. And she goes, oh my gosh. She's like, you still have follicles. She's like, everything's still dropping, and you know, and I started laughing. I go, really? I didn't expect it to be that good, but you know, she's like, yeah. And of course, you know, testosterone down a little, but I was like, you know, that it is what it is, but I don't have any symptoms. So that begs the question, because I have tried, you know, for those out there, I've tried identical hormones in the past, just testosterone, which, wow. Ooh, that was, that was quite the high. I'm going to tell you, that was quite the high. And I tried it in two different ways. I did a shot and I did a hormone cream. The cream was not as exciting as the shot. However, I will say, after having done both and having gone through what the medical stuff that I did with my heart, and my one heart doctor begged me, please don't do this anymore. And I was like, oh, but I feel great. It's so amazing. He's like, please. So I hadn't for years. And so, you know, the testosterone is still basically about the same level, maybe a little higher now, but it's still pretty low, but I'm fine. I don't have any of it. She goes, how do you not have any symptoms? I said, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
You know, so
and your body knows the level that you need. And actually, when you talk about like the high of the testosterone, that's what women artificially try and live like. We try and live as if we've got that amount of testosterone the whole month, and we don't. And the reason our testosterone dips during our month and during the peri-menopause is because we're not meant to have that same level of energy to do, because that's what will create disease. The peri-menopause is a real time where it's a fork in the road, and your body is saying, these symptoms are coming up. So even rage, right? Rage increases in the peri-menopause, and that's an actual hormonal reason why there's a rage hormone that increases in your body. And the reason that is because your body says, you are now strong enough to deal with all these things you've suppressed. So if you're angry about a past issue or a past incident or a current relationship, you have to deal with that, because that anger has been poisoned to your body, and it's now coming up in the peri-menopause to say, let's clear it. We want to clear it for this new phase of your life. We want you to be healthier, happier, freer. And so we want you to feel rageful, and we want that to come up, and you say, what is that rage coming from? Where does it need to be expressed? How can I help heal this? Not just stuff it down and say, well, I feel like I'm going crazy because I'm so angry all the time. What are you angry about? Let that wisdom in your body come out. And then when you feel tired, what are you tired from? Are you tired from the world? Are you tired from the job? Are you tired from just doing too much? Let your body rest. Like, let your body speak to you. And instead of saying, no, you're wrong, I should have more energy, or I should have less rage, actually allow those things.
I love that. Again, going back to flowing, feel what's coming through. You don't have to harbor it, acknowledge it, and allow it to flow through.
Yes.
And what, again, a beautiful way that you state to look at perimenopause is releasing all the excess baggage from your first half of your life that you no longer need for this incredible adventure journey that you're going on for the rest of your life.
That's what it's there for. That's what it's there for. It's asking you for, like I said, it's another chrysalis stage. So it's uncomfortable because you're kind of trying to bust out of this chrysalis but it's there. It's trying to give you those wings. It's trying to strengthen the things that need to be strengthened. And it's asking for things to fall away. Like, it's really interesting to see the things that you stop caring about in the perimenopause. Normally, more people's opinions, some women are like, oh, I'm just over social media. Whatever it is, your life is just saying it's clear out time. It's clear out time. Let these things fall away. Don't feel like you have to cling to things that no longer serve you. Clothes that you no longer want to wear, because women go, I feel like I've lost myself. But actually, yourself more. So you'll put something on, and instead of being like, oh, I don't know what suits me anymore, it's just your body saying, I don't like this top anymore. Get rid of it. We've moved on from that,
I love that. I was just doing that 2 days ago. Just 2 days ago. I'm like, a whole pile of clothes, going to the church. Just because it's just like, well, I just feel like something new is coming.
Yes, definitely. And the old you have to allow the old to fall away. That's like me. I literally have a massive bag of clothes in the hallway. Loads of, sparkly shoes and things like that. But, I put them on and they don't feel like me anymore. So instead of wondering, well, why, or being scared, being like, how interesting. They're not me anymore. I always say to women, at 20 years old, it would be kind of weird if you wore the same stuff when you were 10. You've changed, right? But when we're in our 40s or our 50s, we think, oh, how I should still be wearing the stuff I wore in my 30s or my 40s. If 10 years has gone by, that's 10 years of evolution and change. If you didn't wear at 20 what you wore at 10 years old, don't expect in your 40s to be wearing what you wore in your 30s.
That's fabulous. Again, I love the mind shift. Phenomenal. It's so true. And plus, it's time to renew. It's time to just move on and move forward and embrace this incredible journey. And I love how you have really brought the sparkle into this today for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we are getting to this time in the show, Sally, where I ask this one question. Are you ready?
Okay, I think so.
What is one thing that no one knows about Sally?
Oh, no one knows. Maybe, I don't think anybody knows this. I still have a music album in me that I'm going to create. So years and years and years ago, I worked in the music industry and I did backing singing and backing dancing. And then I had my health journey and I got into health. And recently, again, the perimenopause, you're meant to take back up the creativity that you've let go. So it's really important you follow the creative things that you've let go that you love. So I've always carried on roller skating, but my music has come back to me and I'm like, this needs to be brought back into my life. So yeah, I don't think anybody else knows that I'm going to put some music out in the world at some point during my sparkly shift.
How exciting. Congratulations. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to hear. Oh, I can only imagine. I can picture you in pink, in white, roller skating, singing, disco balls, glitter flying.
I mean, you have to be in my music videos, right?
Oh, 100%. I'm so there. Good. I'm popping over the pond, darling.
Lovely. We can't wait to see you.
Oh my goodness. This will be amazing. I love this. So Sally, will you share with our listeners where they can best get in contact with you so that they can enjoy their sparkly shift?
Absolutely. So you can go to my website, which is womenwithsparkle.com. And there you can buy my book, Get Your Sparkle Back, or you can find it on Amazon. You can also find me on Instagram @womenwithsparkle. And yeah, one of those ways, you'll find a way to get to me.
Wonderful. Thank you. And as always, all of Sally's information and her links will be over in the show notes at jenniferpilates.com. Well, Sally, as we close out the show today, what is one last piece of inspiration that you would like to leave with us today?
I would like to say to you today, please trust your body. Whatever your body is saying to you today, if it's saying it's tired, if it's saying it's overwhelmed, if it's saying it's bored, it wants to do something new, if it's saying it's in pain, I want you to trust it. I want you to not try and kind of steamroll over it. I want you to get quiet with it as if you would like a little child whispering something to you. And I want you to trust that your body has wisdom. And I want you to act on its wisdom. And I want you to do one thing to help you today. So it might be having a glass of water. It might be you've got 20 emails, but actually go and lying down for 10 minutes. It might be telling that person, I need a job promotion. Whatever that thing is, trust the wisdom of your body and stop thinking that it's silly. Stop thinking you're irrational. Stop thinking you're irrelevant. Trust your body because it will guide you to your highest life and your biggest sparkle.
Oh, thank you so much, Sally. This has been amazing, incredibly well worth the wait. And I am a testimony to say, please go out and grab her book. It was amazing to read. For me, it was a very quick read. And it was amazing. And everything plus more of what we talked about today will be in that book. So thank you, Sally, for sharing your journey and your incredible insights to helping us all embrace our sparkly shift.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved being on today.
Oh, thank you. Well, as we say, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.